And we are back. Sorry about that interruption, but we back, y'all. Alright, back to the con. And if you need a quick recap, just watch the live right before this one, part one, and you'll get a gist on where we at now. Sure, I'm not plugged up, y'all. I just realized it. Alright. Sorry about that, y'all. We back on it. We back.
One significant issue arises
Had
when
a
Einstein's
technical
general relativity,
difficulty.
which includes the concept of space-time,
But we
comes face
talking
to face
about
with quantum
space and
physics.
time.
The two seem
At the end of the live before, there's just questioning on if it's real, if it's a society thing, man-made concept, whatever, y'all. Just something to think about at times.
to operate on entirely different rules, and this creates a bit of a problem. In the quantum realm, things get a bit quirky. For instance, a single particle can exist in two places at the same time. Erwin Schrödinger famously illustrated this with a thought experiment involving a cat, a poison vial, and a quantum particle tied to a hammer. The hammer's action, whether it breaks the poison vial or not, depends on the quantum state of the particle. The catch? Until we measure it, the particle is in both states at once, implying that the cat is simultaneously alive and dead. This mind-bending idea seems irreconcilable with Einstein's vision of a smooth, continuous fabric of space-time. Sabine Hossenfelder, a theoretical physicist at the Frankfurt Institute for Advanced Studies, pointed out this incongruity. She noted that a gravitational field can't be in two places at once, as per Einstein's theory. But quantum
Yeah, that's
physics
exactly what I was
insists
about
that
to
matter
say.
and energy can be in multiple states simultaneously. This disparity leaves a baffling question about the nature and location of the gravitational field. Hossenfelder explained that combining general relativity and quantum theory tends to fall apart at certain energy levels. The math leads to probabilities greater than 1, which is a no-go in physics because 1 implies certainty. And sometimes it even throws out the answer of infinity, which doesn't have any real-world physical meaning. So there's a clear tension between these two monumental pillars of physics, general relativity and quantum theory. Now, in the world of physics, there's a race to find a theory that brings quantum mechanics and gravity together, like a harmonious reunion of two feuding royal families. And the search has led some
And on this
theorists to
note, I'm gonna
consider some
switch
pretty
it
exotic.
because this is the perfect time to switch to the other video I got for you. Talking about just one person's opinion on it, but I kind of agree with some of the stuff that he's saying about it. Like, y'all gotta hear him. Billy Carson, that's his name. Excuse me, man. Sorry. Like for me. Hit that like for me. Hit that like for me. Hit that like for me. Tell your baby mama, won't she hit that like for me? I told her drop it down low, just like for me.
Attacking Palestine. Palestine's trying to respond, but they really don't have a lot of attacking Palestine and Forbidden Knowledge Facebook page going back years. Every so many years, there's another conflict, right? Israel's attacking Palestine. Palestine's trying to respond, but they really don't have a lot of means. Hamas is trying to, shake some things up and, make some terror
Hit that
attacks
like
and
for
make some
real though.
threats and so forth. And they're going back and forth. A few people
I'm
been
mad I
blown
keep
up
saying it.
recently.
I feel like I'm
This is
begging. I
nothing
ain't trying
new.
to
This has
beg
been going
y'all.
on for a very long time. I mean, all the way
Just
back
flow through the algorithm to
for
get like minds
years.
and other
And
people together
what
on
is the
some
real story behind all of
humanity
this?
stuff.
What is going on that's creating this kind of idiotic behavior by human beings on this planet in the 21st century? In the 21st century, no less, we got people fighting over fairy tales. This is why the aliens don't talk to us. They step back looking at this. They're saying these people are literally slaughtering each other and killing each other's babies in the streets
Fact.
because of a fairy tale that was written by a human being, a man, a flesh and blood man with red blood in his veins, puts his pants on one leg at a time, just like you and me. No God, creator of the universe, wrote any of this stuff. Well documented, by the way, because they tell you who wrote the text. They never said God wrote this. They tell you the name of the person that supposedly wrote the text. And it was inspired by God. Well, I can inspire myself to do anything I want. I can inspire myself to pick up this glass. And guess what? The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a prophecy. I'm going to drink the water. Prophecy fulfilled. Come on, man. Stop it. Stop it. Anytime you write text, hundreds of years, sometimes thousands of years after events have happened, you can create prophecies, you can create promised land, you can create chosen people. You can create all of that stuff. It's too easy because none of this text was written in real time. Nobody was running around, hey, Moses, can you say that one more time? Because I really want to get it right on this scripture that I'm writing. It's going to be held accountable by everything you said. I want to make sure I didn't miss a word. Can you say that one more time? Because I just didn't. The people over there that were making the golden lamb were making a little bit too much noise, and I just couldn't really hear what you were saying. Come on, man. Come on, man. Are you for real? The text that's in all of these New Age religions, New Age, Christianity, Islam, the whole thing about being Jewish and the whole Hebrew faith and the Abrahamic faiths and all that, that's all New Age religion. All of it. None of it is ancient. Because I can get into ancient texts, which I do all the time, and I guarantee you it's tens of thousands of years older than these religions that exist nowadays that people are running and chopping each other's heads off for. They're killing each other over stuff written by human beings and then claiming it's in the name of God. It's the same old story. It doesn't matter who's doing it. It's the same old story. Same old story. We'll just write this stuff in here. Now we can do slavery in the name of God. Now we can take over your land in the name of God. Now we can be the chosen ones in the name of God. Everyone else is an infidel. You guys are, you're pewter. You're nothing. All right? We're the ones that's going to get the glorious spot in heaven. There's even some text that talks about the fact that the chosen ones get to go to the inner sanctum of heaven. And then the ones who aren't really the chosen people, they kind of get a little bit of a pass and they kind of get to hang out, but they got to stay on the outer gates. They don't really get to come. This is all about division, separation, racism, especially racism. It's all about power, divisivism, divide and conquer tactics.
It really is, bro. Just think about it. If anything ain't at sports, it's you divisive about something. Especially in modern times and medieval times and all that.
And then because it's spewed from the mouth of the mother,
everything confused with good and evil.
Baby. And then it's beat into them like, this is what you are. This is what you're going to be. This is what you're going to do. Now they just regurgitate the same old poison nonstop to the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one. And everybody's looking for this justification from this fabricated God. Now, let me stop there for a minute. Many videos of me talking about these topics, and yet and still, I believe that God actually exists. Except the God that exists, that created this universe and the multiverse, is not written in any of those books I just mentioned a few minutes ago for those religions. Not in the Quran, not in the Torah, not in the Talmud, not in the Bible, not in the Sumerian tablets, not in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, not in the Mahabharata, not in the Bhagavad Gita, not in the Indian Vedas, not in the Epic of Atrahasis, not in the Epic of Gilgamesh. I can go on and on and on. Not in the Code of Hammurabi, not in the Myth of Adapa. I can keep going. Guess what, guys? I'm one of the foremost world leader in the knowledge on ancient texts and tablets, scriptures, papyruses, and cylinder scrolls. And guess what? In all the ones I've gone through over thousands over the years, not one of them is speaking about the creator of the universe, which is real. I acknowledge that. Matter of fact, so did the Anunnaki. They claimed to know that they were going to get in trouble for what they did on this planet by the creator of all, which tells you that they knew they weren't the creator of all, that there was somebody even above them. An entity, an energy, a life force of something above them that had a say-so, and they would have to find judgment one day. So they knew they weren't God, even though they masqueraded as God. They became the gods of the Torah and the Talmud and the Bible and the Quran and all these texts. The Elohim, which means plural, gods with an S. It's interesting. You have the people of the Jewish faith, which originally begin in that same region and migrate down into Ethiopia. Migrate through Egypt. They go through Egypt first, down into Ethiopia, which is in Africa. Egypt is in Africa, and so is Ethiopia. And they get down there, and they begin to build temples and worship and all that good stuff. Matter of fact, the people down there are jet black, blacker than this shirt I have on. Let me show you a picture of these Jews, well-documented Jews of Ethiopia. Yeah, they're real people. They, in my opinion, are the oldest version of the Jewish faith. They're so old that they weren't even aware of the Holocaust. They had discovered about the Holocaust not too many decades ago. They didn't even know it existed. These are the Jews. And if you go to Ethiopia, you can go to temple and you can see them worship and you can see them read from the Torah and you can see them speak in Hebrew and write in reverse and all that good stuff. Those are the Jews. Okay? Those are the Jews. And so I did a whole video on this a few months back, which talked about the story of the Black Jews. Matter of fact, I may add that to this video. And it doesn't mean that I'm extra proud that they're Black or anything like that. I'm just pointing out actual facts. This is an actual fact of life that can't be changed. It's a reality that can't be altered. As a matter of fact, when Moses left and went down there, he actually married a Black Ethiopian wife. This is in the Bible. You can read the whole description right there. It tells you specifically exactly what happened there. Okay. And the reason why I bring this up is because it's so interesting that in the video I did, these same Black Ethiopians have the hardest time getting access to Israel, which is supposed to be this promised land, quote unquote. In that video, I have a woman who actually is in Israel that works in the government. And specifically, she's talking in my video about the hardest time she has getting, attacking racism in a way to get it reduced and to stop it from happening. And that many people who finally do make it to Israel that are Black, these Black Jews, original Black Jews, are just homeless. Some of them are even living in the streets, and they're heavily, I guess, oppressed there. And she said it was a big challenge that she's trying to find a way to overcome, but she doesn't have a lot of help on that end. And so it's a lot of work, and she was a little overwhelmed. And that's an actual video that you can find right here on this Forbidden Knowledge podcast. And the point that I'm trying to make here is we have a strange situation here where people end up in this faith, claim it for their own, which is interesting. And then they go on this.
Let me know how y'all feel. Hit that like and subscribe for both. Yeah.
Text, or it's not really ancient, but you go into the biblical text and Torah. It's south and southwest of Lebanon mountains, north and east of Egypt, east of
Where creation started.
west of the Arabian desert, and the land of Canaan was located in the southern Levant, which today includes Israel, the West Bank, and Gaza and Jordan. The southern parts of Syria and Lebanon. Now, if you look at the biblical part, which is the south and southwest of Lebanon and north and east of Egypt, the east of the Mediterranean coastal plain, that's a much bigger piece of land. Like, that's a massive swath of land that supposedly that they were promised a very long time ago. They believed in this promise so strongly that they decided to go there and just go to war against the people that lived there and take their land from them. Sound familiar? Does that sound familiar to you? Just go and just take it and claim it in the name of God. Pretty interesting. Sounds like what the Europeans did to a lot of continents on this planet. It's just a fact. I'm just spitting facts. I'm not getting emotional. I'm not throwing in my own, stuff into this. I'm not flaming any fires. I'm not trying to gaslight anybody. I'm giving you absolute verifiable facts that anyone can go learn in school right now. Okay? This isn't forbidden knowledge tonight. This is fact knowledge. And so they go there and they take it. Now, what's interesting is initially the people of Palestine were not wanting to have this situation happen. They wanted to keep their land. They wanted to continue to live in their houses and everything else outside of the Gaza Strip. They had more of that land, which is now Israel. Eventually, who gets involved? England, right? First, they used to answer to the Ottoman Empire. Then England gets involved. Okay, England is like, you know, the UK is like, hey, we're gonna have some interest in this thing, and we're gonna take over, and then we're gonna divide this into 2 states. And so, of course, the Palestinians weren't really with that because they had already settled. They already had houses and everything else. People and generations raised up in these lands and everything. And so they come over and they start buying up. The Jews come over and start buying up land, buying up houses, buying up farms. They start, you know, they had already been, you know, gone through a Holocaust. Everywhere they went, they were being
we ain't gonna be on too much longer.
Oppressed and everything else you could think of. That's a whole nother podcast, why that's happening. That's a whole nother podcast. I'm not going to do that on YouTube. It's a whole nother podcast why that's happening, or why that happened. And so they said, well, we got to have a place of our own. So now we're going to fall back into these texts and we're going to claim that we have some promised land. So they get a little bit of land. They forced Europe to give them a little bit of land, right? So you got, well, that's Kush and East Ethiopia. I just got done showing you that. That's where the black Jews actually inhabit that area. And that's where Moses went. He went to Kush, where he actually met his wife. Let's go over here. So all of a sudden here, we have this land that they're now given. Now let's take a look at this land. Look at Israel, and then look at the Gaza Strip. Look at Israel, and then look at the Gaza Strip. Now the Gaza Strip is minuscule compared to the amount of land that Israel actually has. See, Israel did something interesting. See, they're business people, they're businessmen. So they negotiated a lot of deals with countries, with the UN, with America, and they got some greased some palms. I guess that's part of the chosen land situation. They greased a few palms and they got more land. And then they pushed these people into this tiny little corner. Into this tiny little corner you see called the Gaza Strip. Now, let me pull this back down again. What happens in the hoods and the ghettos of America? I know because I lived in them. Why is there more crime per capita in the ghetto? Why is that? Why is there more crime per capita in the ghettos? Well, the reason is because you got everybody piled in on top of each other and they're fighting over resources. You think it's because black people want to attack black people and Spanish people want to attack black and Spanish people, and you think it's just, we're just gangsters and thugs? No, there's a battle going on over resources. And when you're economically and financially oppressed, all of a sudden now opportunities are taken away from you. The unemployment rate in Palestine is like 60%. Imagine living in a place where more than half the people don't even have jobs. More than half of the people don't even have jobs. And then imagine being piled up on top of one another. And then imagine seeing your oppressor who defeated you walking around your neighborhood with automatic rifles and doing military gun stops and checks 24/7.
And that's how they show it too on certain channels. And they show it the other way on the other channel.
I remember about 4 years ago, my son Justin was I think he was in the 11th grade. Let me show you how deep this zealotism goes. I call it zealotism. His grandfather is a preacher. He's a preacher. He's a priest. Pastor. I'm sorry. He's a pastor, not a preacher. I guess the same thing. Preacher, pastor, same thing. And he goes to his grandfather and he tells him, says, hey, man, I just saw on the news that this kid playing soccer in Palestine just got shot by a sniper's rifle from an Israeli guard, which is a fact. It made international news. They shot the kid for fun. And his grandfather told him, well, you know what? Kid deserved to die because he worships the wrong God. You see what I'm talking about? You see what I'm saying? This is the mindset of not only him, the grandfather, but of all these people running around in these third world countries. and believing in these fairy tales and these fantasies. My God is better than your God. And by the way, God is always a man. Don't ever call God a woman. Never forget. Won't he do it? He's always a man. He's always a gender. He's always got a magic wand too. So you better be careful of what you say and what you do, because he's ready to zap you. All right? This is what we're going through. So they go and they buy up all these people's lands and they put them out on the street, force them into this little tiny corner, and then wonder why they're angry. Why are these people so angry? Why are they so? It must be their religion. You guys cornered. When you take a dog and you put it into a corner and threaten it, dog is gonna bite you, man. Come on. This is basic psychology 101. This ain't no, come on, man. This ain't rocket science. It's not rocket science. So you defeat them, and every so many years there's an Arab uprising, and you defeat them again, and now you just got the boot on the neck. This situation between Israel and Palestine reminds me of Hunger Games. It's the modern day Hunger Games. It's exactly what it is. It's the modern day Hunger Games. No difference. Zero difference. When you take pleasure in trying to eradicate and destroy a people off of this planet on something that wasn't even yours to begin with, that's pretty dark. That's pretty damn dark. Let's take a look at something.
I still use a lot of austerity.
This whole thing is just ridiculous. And people say, why? How come you don't like religion? Come on, man. Do you see why I don't like religion? More people have died over religious beliefs than any other reason on the face of the planet. And then you got people like America, countries like America, that's actually funding the war. They're funding the Ukrainian and Russian war. They're funding the Israeli war. Just getting in on it, finding out how they can make money, how they can get their stocks to go up. As soon as that thing happened, they were like, oh yeah, it's money time. Hey guys, get Betty, Sue, and John and them to put some money on Apache. We're gonna have to bring in the ships and everything. Any company we have that has any military prowess, go ahead and do them. We're gonna do the stock options on them. Go ahead and do some long calls, because we're gonna go ahead and now we're gonna jump right on in. We're gonna send some money. And guess what? When our Navy ships show up, and when our military shows up, and our helicopters show up, all those stocks are gonna spike. And we're gonna make a few $100 million in a few weeks, because we know how to play the game. And then we're gonna double dip, because now we're gonna charge the Americans tax dollar for the cost of showing up to this region and putting a show of force out here. That's what we're gonna do. And now we're gonna eat off of that too. That's how it works. That's exactly how it works. It's a pimp game. It's an absolute outright pimp game. Whew. The book of Hebrews says that the promised land is a type of spiritual inheritance. The prophet land is also known as the land of Israel, the Holy Land, and the land of Canaan. The majority of Canaan is now part of modern Israel and Palestine. Many Christians in the Western world believe that Israel is the promised land. The Zionist movement promoted that mass Jewish immigration is what led to the proclamation of the Jewish state of Israel in 1948. That's when they forced Palestinians off of their land and pushed them into that little tiny strip of land. The Israelites occupied and conquered Palestine. Actually, back then it was really called Canaan. So they conquered the Canaanites. Beginning in the late second millennium BCE, or even maybe a little bit earlier, I think. And the Bible justifies the occupation by identifying Canaan with the promised land, and the promised land to the Israelites by God. That these are the chosen people. They're chosen by what? By who? By what? Chosen for what? That means that in religion, there's always going to be a group of people that's better than somebody else. There's always going to be a group of people that's better than somebody else. And that is divide and conquer. That's racism. That's divisiveness. And that's power and control and domination. Anytime I can look at you in your eye and tell you, I'm better than you, I'm a chosen this and that by this most high, whatever. What you're saying is that the 8 billion people on the planet are trash, and a few million of them are very special.
And that's what they be saying, bro.
And they get to kill in the name of God, and whatever, they can do whatever they want to do. That's what you're saying. It's a form of supremacy. And I'm against all forms of supremacy. Black supremacy, white supremacy, religious supremacy, indigenous supremacy. I'm against all of it. All of it. There's no place for supremacy in a golden age. There's no place for chosen people in a golden age. There are no chosen people in the golden age because everybody's chosen. Everybody on the planet. Everybody is a chosen one. If you are listening to these people run around telling you that they're the chosen people, and you then believe that you're not a chosen person, well then shame on you. Because we're all chosen people. Because the divine spark that created everything in the universe is in every single atom, in every single body of every single thing that exists on the entire planet, and even within the entire universe. A cat has no less chosenness than anyone else on the planet. A rock has no less chosenness than anyone on the planet, or anything in the universe even. A blade of grass has no less chosenness than any entity that considers himself to be a sentient being in the universe. A blade of grass, a rock. As a matter of fact, this microphone, which we think it's man-made, it's not a man-made device. This microphone is just stacked atoms like Legos because man can't make atoms. Atoms already existed since the beginning of the universe. So all we did was we cultivated a way to stack them into a format that allows us to have the illusion of being a microphone.
The creator made that.
Type of a technological tool use of it. But in true reality, when you find out at the base level how this microphone came into existence, we stacked atoms like Legos, and then we say it's man-made. No, we didn't make this. We just stacked the atoms together in the right format. We unlocked the code.
Y'all go check out his podcast, Billy Carson.
In a certain way. And guess what? The atoms inside this microphone.
But on that note, y'all, thank y'all for tuning in. We out. Peace.
If you look into quantum physics, into the double slit experiment, you discover that every atom has electrons orbiting it. And those electrons make conscious decisions to become a wave of potentials or a digital bit of information. So from the quantum field on up, we know that every single atom, because every atom has an electron or more, is conscious. That means that every single thing that exists in the entire universal matrix is conscious. Not just you because you think you got this special body and you got a brain and you got a spinal cord and nerve endings and all this kind of stuff. Everything is conscious. This water is conscious. This glass is conscious. You see? There's levels to understanding. There's levels to understanding. Somebody asked about the Higgs boson. The Higgs boson is the God particle. That God particle is a particle that gives other particles mass. It was discovered a few years ago. We're just learning more and more and more about the universe that we live in, and we still barely are touching the surface of what's really going on out there. So for anyone walking around going, I'm a chosen person, and there's a magic sky daddy with a wand granting me the power over these people and granting me to be able to slaughter these people in his name. In his name. It's always a man. Never forget, it's always a man. That's why this planet is run like a giant bachelor pad, because we always give toxic male energy. It's a fact. It's an absolute fact. When you go to those regions of the world, you see that women are heavily oppressed, and you see the absence of the divine feminine. And that's why those third world countries look like that. They look like that not because they're third world. They look like that because there's no feminine input. There is no divine feminine. It's been wiped out. It's been oppressed. And so what you see there is a bachelor pad. Everything's one color. Everything's dirty, nasty, breaking down, garbage in the street, plastics all over the place. Just a mess. It's an absolute mess. Everything's turned to dust, blowing buildings up, blowing up people, blowing up, killing everything. That's the mindset of the chosen people. We're chosen. When you see it from my perspective, you find out it's something totally different. It's not I am chosen. It's this universe is chosen. It's the multiverse is chosen. And I'm happy to be a part of this. You see the difference? You see the pivot there in mindset? You see that pivot in mindset? Imagine if those people had that mindset, that pivot in their mind, realizing that, oh, it's not about me. It's about us. It's about us, not me. It's about the whole. It's about the macro, not the micro. I'm just playing a small role in a much bigger play. And all of it's divine, including me. Not I'm divine and I'm this, and it's all about me. And somebody 1,000 years ago wrote, "This is our land," and then put God's name at the end of the sentence so I can claim it. And I'm gonna snatch this from you, and if you don't like it, I'll kill you and all your kids and children. And I'm gonna dominate and I'm gonna take it over. This is all ours. You get in that corner and you shut up and sit down. We beat you before we'll beat you again.
Pocket full of dinero.